You know, it's pretty interesting, man, watching these state-approved talking heads every night on MSNBC and CNN, things like that. Just trying to digest in real time the Trump, Stormy Daniels hush money trial, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of them, they really, really are salivating over it. They're living in a complete and total fantasy world of just get Trump lunacy. If you really, really want to see that, you got to watch Lawrence O'Donnell. I tried to find something noteworthy. I watched an hour of it last night. It was just so creepy. They all had these like strange smirks on their face. It was just so creepy. It will blow your freaking mind to watch, right? But I got to say, they're not all crazy, right? They're that's too insane to even show here almost. But most of them, to their credit, believe it or not, are not all lunatics. There was a legal expert also on MSNBC of all places. And this guy says he's not surprised. He would not be surprised if this ends up in a mistrial for a really, really simple reason, but a reason that I don't think Bragg or any of the people that have been pushing this thing down the road really saw coming.
I think juror attrition could be a real problem in this case. I mean, just do the math. Last week, we lost 2 jurors before the trial even began. When you think about it, you do lose jurors during a trial. I've lost them. They fell asleep. They don't follow the judge's orders. But you don't normally lose a juror after the moment they're selected and between that and the time that the trial actually begins, because ordinarily, nothing happens during that time. But in this case, you have an example where a juror goes home, they start really thinking about their duty and what this is going to entail, and they come back and say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. By the way, that's also something that happens from time to time. I've had it in organized crime cases. You have jurors who come up to the judge and say, I'll do anything, please. I do not want to be on this jury. I'm afraid. That's not obviously the same situation here, but you do have jurors who are going to have second thoughts. And the question becomes, will 6 alternates be enough to cover this trial? I hope so. But if what we've seen so far, if that's the rate of loss of jurors, 2 or before we even start the trial, that could be a real problem, and that could lead to a mistrial, which in, I think, the defense's view is a win, even though it doesn't mean you start the trial again in a year or something like that. Mistrials, normally the court schedules the retrial as soon as they possibly can. But yeah, juror attrition is going to be a real issue in this case. And again, I couldn't agree more with Lisa. Opening statements are not going to be all day. Look for an hour from the prosecution and probably less from the defense, because all they're doing today is offering a preview. You're going to hear this probably many times. The evidence will show that ... The evidence will show that ... It's really just a promise to the jurors of what the facts will show. And if you're the defense, you do not want to be making a lot of promises. For example, you will not hear the words, you're going to hear from the defendant himself, because if you make that promise, nobody's going to forget it. So they will say, I expect the prosecution will try to focus on something they've already seated the jury on, which is you're going to hear from some people who are not that credible, but they're not credible because they're Donald Trump's friends. On the defense side, you'll probably hear some version of try to keep an open mind. The evidence is not all in. We don't have the burden, and just sort of the standard fare. But you're not going to see anything as flashy, anything as dramatic, as exciting as we're going to see during closing arguments. This is only going to be a preview, and it will not take the entire day at all.
Yeah, so obviously MSNBC is not really the friendliest place for anything or anyone Trump, right? But this guy makes some great points. You know, whether you love the guy or hate the guy, he is a former president of the United States. So the state is going to want to make sure that they get this right. They cannot afford a mistrial, man, for any reason. I mean, the case is already so weak and so pointless. Anyone aside from the truly Trump deranged can see that he is the only person on the entire face of the planet that would be charged with these crimes at this time and in this way. Everybody can see that, and everybody knows it. Everyone who still has 2 brain cells to rub together knows it, right? And we'll see how it goes, man. So far, there's no fireworks, but the case is doing exactly what it was intended to do. Trump is trapped in a room in New York, and Biden is out campaigning and searching for his long-lost Uncle Bozy, right? But anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth so we can get our message to as many people as possible. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.